Hey, this is Kenny from Kenny's Audiophile Record Reviews. Thank you very much for viewing my channel. As always, please like and subscribe. Those of you who have not, that would help my channel out. In this video, I'm going to show you some local thrift store vinyl finds that I had at a local thrift store. As of the posting of this video, or as of the recording of this video, it was literally yesterday. But I'm going to show you, I think it's approximately 40 records, mostly jazz. Now, they're not the jazz that some in the audiophile community are used to hearing about on some of these channels. You're used to hearing about, some of these cool original pressing Riverside jazz records, like this cool Bill Evans a portrait and jazz record. Or you're used to seeing this original pressing, or earlier pressing, I should say, of Saxophone Colossus on Prestige Records. You used to seeing Blue Note Records, Impulse Records, Brother John Coltrane, and so on and so forth. You used to seeing some of the old school, legendary, transcendent jazz labels. That's not going to happen in this video for the most part. There's some other more obscure and more moderate to minor jazz labels that put out some good work, and there's great jazz everywhere in many different labels, not just on Blue Note, Prestige, Verb, or some of the other ones that are featured in other channels. But these were some music that's near and dear to my heart. Some of these records I'm going to show you, they're actually, I paid $2 a piece for them at a thrift store. I think, like I said, about approximately 40 to 45, somewhere in that range. Like I said, they were $2 a piece. Matter of fact, I don't know if you can see this at all, but this is my receipt from that day. And on that day also, I had a 20% off coupon code, so I got 20% off. And $2 for used vinyl these days is actually spectacular when you consider what people are paying for these, or actually, I should say, what I pay for that. It's a lot of money. Some of these, some of these box sets, they're quite expensive, I must say. Here's another Miles Davis 45 RPM UHQR. But $2 compared to some of these $150 box sets is quite a value. So I'm going to go through these rather quickly. Oh, and before I do, I met one of my viewers when I was at that thrift store. I was at that thrift store during my wife's lunch break. My wife works from home, and my wife said, "Oh, Kenny, let's go to the thrift store." I said, "Okay." And I started looking through some records, and one guy turned around and noticed me, one of my viewers. He goes by Tom. He has a nickname called Mr. Uncool. Mr. Uncool is his nickname. Tom is his name. Mr. Uncool is actually a cool nickname. So it was nice meeting you, Tom. Really nice talking to you. He's a cool guy. Now, I'm going to go through these somewhat quickly, and like I said, they're not anything major, but they're really some really good finds for $2. And like I said, I'll try to go through them quickly. This is Steps Ahead, the NYC album. Now, this one, and like I said, these are mostly jazz, by the way. Although this one's not. Now, this cover is not in great condition at all. In the record, I put maybe a little bit above VG condition, but it's an original pressing. And I have this device called a sugar cube, sweet vinyl sugar cube, SC2 Plus, and it takes the pops and ticks and noise out of when you play back a record. It has a record with some pops and ticks and noise, and it'll make it sound like a mint condition record. So I'm going to use this as a candidate for that device on my Sweet Vinyl Sugar Cube SC2 Plus. Now, this one is a female jazz singer. Her name is Nancy Harrell. Now, I have one of her old older albums on CD. I think this was issued, this particular album was issued, I think around 1961, so I was familiar with her. And I like her singing, I like her voice. Matter of fact, this album has Bob Brookmeyer on valve trombone on this record, a jazz female vocalist. And some of these records also I bought, I already have maybe 2 or 3 of them, but some of these were in exceptional condition, so I just got some as a backup or safety copy. This is Morgana King. I love her voice. She's a fabulous jazz singer. Just had a spectacular voice. There's a soul R&B group called the Free Movement. I think it was issued in the early 70s, 72, I think, but I'm not 100% sure. But that was a nice find. And as you can see, the price tags are still on the record. I hadn't had a chance to take the price tags off, and I hadn't had a chance to clean them up, get some of these cardboard sleeves off, and put them some audiophile sleeves. So I'm going to do that in the coming days. But this is Elvin Jones, the great Elvin Jones. $2. Now, in fact, that's the price tag, as you can see. That's on all of the records. Sonny Fortune with Sound and Reason LP. $2. Elaine Elias. This is on Blue Note Records. Hope I'm pronouncing her name right. Elaine Elias. This is a George Duke. This is not original pressing. This is on Pickwick Records. But at $2, it's a great value. I don't have this George Duke record. Now this one is another jazz vocalist, Wesley Whitfield. And this particular record was produced by the great producer, Orrin Keepnews. In fact, I'll show you. I think that if you can see that picture, you can see Mr. Keepnews in the picture. A jazz female vocalist record. It's another George Duke record. This is a Gene Harris trio record. Gene Harris on piano. Actually features Ray Brown on bass. I do not have this Gary Burton quartet album. It's called Picture This. Michael Brecker. And this is I think it's a digital recording. This is a McCoy Tyner album called Super Trios. Now this one this is a 2-record set, but the first album has McCoy Tyner, Ron Carter, and Tony Williams. The second one has McCoy Tyner, Eddie Gomez, and DAC Dijonette on drums. 2-album set, $2. See if I see any. That's pretty cool. This is a great Herb Ellis, the Herb Ellis Trio. This is on Concord Jazz Records. This is a Oscar Peterson record called, it's a part of the Emercy Jazz Series, Trio in Transition, Oscar Peterson. Featuring Ray Brown, Ed Thigpen, Louis Hayes, and Sam Jones. Oscar Peterson, ladies and gentlemen. This is a Mannheim Steamroller record. And I like their music, and I like the way it sounds on audiophile system, so I had to pick this one up. Fresh Air, Mannheim Steamroller. Yeah, it's called Fresh Air 3, the Mannheim Steamroller. This is a later Freddie Hubbard record on Blue Note Records. This one features Stanley Turrentine, George Benson, Idris Muhammad. is another later Freddie Hubbard record as well. This is a Wayne Shorter record. It's called Joyrider. I love Mary McPartland on piano, and I'm sure I do not have this one. It's called From This Moment On, a fabulous female piano player. Marion McPartland. Eric Gale, Island Breeze record. And this is Ernie Watts. Let's see this. This is Oliver Jones. Oliver Jones, a great jazz piano player. I'll show you the back. This Stan Getz album, this is his Captain Marvel album. It's a great album. Stan Getz, Captain Marvel. And this is another Stan Getz album. Now, this was not in the best condition at best. It might be a VG Plus, maybe slightly less, has some scratches on it. But it's going to sound awesome when I patch it through my Sweet Vinyl Sugar Cube SC2 Plus. And this is going to sound like a mint condition record on my system. This one I have, but this one is better than the condition that I want to actually have. This Esther Phillips record, the beautiful Esther Phillips. This is a Sue Rainey album which features the Bob Florence group. I have several Bob Florence records, but she's a really good jazz vocalist, actually. This is on CTI Records. Freddie Hubbard, features Ron Carter, Billy Cobham, George Benson, Keith Jarrett, Ray Barretto, Airto Moreira, and Hubert Laws. Freddie Hubbard, Skydive. Sheila Jordan. I have one of her older records on CD from the early 60s. And that's how I was familiar with this female jazz vocalist. And she has a nice voice. Matter of fact, this record features Kenny Barron on piano. Another female jazz vocalist, Shauna Carlson. This is sealed, it's Warren Vacher Trio record, and this is a sealed record. So I'm going to definitely check this one out. This is on Concord Jazz Records. Now, these next three or two are from a singing couple, a jazz singing couple, a jazz vocalist couple called Jackie and Roy. And they were an underrated vocal combo. They were really great vocalists. This was on Concord Jazz Records. This one was issued 1982. This is their High Standards record, I should say. And there's another one, East of Suez, Jackie and Roy, again on Concord Jazz Records. This was issued in 1980. Another CTI Jazz, Crying Song by Hubert Laws. They normally have a lot of great stars on these CTI records. They really do. But this was on CTI Records, Hubert Laws. This is a Grassroots. I love the Grassroots, the group The Grassroots. And this one, I bought this one because I don't have it, number one. Number two, this one, again, still it's in a paper sleeve, is a white label promo issue of the record, The Grassroots. Is there a lot of mileage record? This is on Dunhill Records, Dunhill ABC. This record features great guitar players. Charlie Bird, Herb Ellis, Barney Kessel. You have Joe Bird, bass. Chuck Reed, Chuck Red, drums. Charlie Bird is one of my favorite guitar players. So is Barney Kessel, and Herb Ellis is great also. This is going to be a fabulous listen. And this is on Concord Records. So I'm looking forward to listening to this one. Hal Galper Trio, album called Portrait. Hal Galper Trio. Hal Galper on piano. Billy Hart drums, Ray Drummond bass. Hal Galper Trio. This one is a 2-record set on Pablo Records. Oscar Peterson, Louis Belson, I should say. John Hurd, Oscar Peterson. At the Royal Festival Hall, 1978. 2-album set. Again, on Pablo Records. And this one is a Nat Pierce quintet. This is a Nat Pierce Juggernaut album. I may have this one, but this one was in fabulous condition. I'm almost sure I have this one. So I have, whichever one I use as a backup copy or safety copy. But at $2, it was worth the risk to hear Nat Pierce Juggernaut. This is a Monty Alexander. This is another album that features Ray Brown on bass. The next three, I believe the next three, is this amazing singer here. This is the Analog Productions Acoustic Sounds 45 RPM. At least I think it's our 45 RPM. I believe, sure it is. Actually, I don't think it is. This is a 33 1/3. Helen Merrill album. And the next 3 albums I'm going to show you are Helen Merrill albums that I bought for $2 a piece. Helen Merrill, Mel Lewis, and Richard Davis, the great Richard Davis, underrated bass player on bass. It has Connie Kay drums, Hubert Laws flute, Richard Davis bass, John Lewis piano, and the wonderful voice of Helen Merrill. This is on Mercury Records. Here's another Helen Merrill record with Gordon Beck. And the Helen Merrill record that I got that I'm most interested in listening to, because I'm extremely familiar with the songs, and this is his Casa Forte record. Because a lot of some of the songs on this record, Sergio Mendes and Brazil 66 performed these on some of their records, like So Many Stars, Like a Lover, Casa Forte. So I'm really interested in listening to this Helen Merrill record. Now this one is an audiophile record, and it's Eileen Farrell and Eileen or Eileen. Sorry if I mispronounced her name, but I have some of her opera or classical records. And this, like I said, this was issued on a reference recording, and this one is exceptionally clean, this copy. So I'm really looking forward again to listen to this one as well. And she was so versatile. She could sing classical, opera, jazz, show tunes, pop, anything. That's how versatile and great of a singer she was. Like I said, this was on reference recordings. says pure analog recording. This is what it says, 1989. See, you're talking pure analog back in those days. Ernie Wilkins, Montreux. And the last record, anyway, is a Max Roach album on Soul Note Records. Max Roach, called Survivors. And real quick, I want to show you some CDs that and again, those were the vinyl finds at that thrift store. Matter of fact, I did a video on, you know, what I typically see when I go to thrift stores. And I'll leave the link to that video in the description below. And the first thrift store that I show in that video is where I found all these records. Oftentimes, you don't find anything when you go to thrift stores. At most, you find maybe one. Oftentimes, you leave empty-handed. This just was one of those days. Okay, it's just one of those great days. But I'm going to show you real quick some recent. There's like 5 recent CD finds. This is actually a SACD, the Ships Ahoy of the OJs. Paid $2 for this. This is a SACD for $2 at a thrift store. This CD, Interludes by Lynn Stanley. This was mastered by Bernie Grun. It was mastered by Bernie Grunman, I believe. This is an SACD. I paid $1 for this one at a local thrift store. The sound of this CD, of this SACD, is actually simply spectacular. The performance is quite good, is very good, but the sound is actually, it's just simply spectacular of this SACD. This is a John Lee Hooker, the early years. I paid $2 for this one. 2 CD set. The Beatles, live at the BBC. I believe this 2 CD set. Paid $2 for this one. And the last one, this is a Complete Carpenters. It's more expansive than their Greatest Hits album. I don't know how well you can see the song listing. Probably cannot. And I apologize if you cannot. But this is more expansive than their Greatest Hits CD or album, which I have both. I also have the SACD. This is a 3 CD set. It's called the Complete Singles, the Carpenters. But those were my thrift store finds on that day. It was a great day for buying records. Like I said, you rarely have days like that. But on that day, it was worth it. I give my wife credit for getting me out to the thrift store on that day, because I probably was not going to go. But if you have some great thrift store finds recently, please leave some of those fantastic finds in the comment section below. Thank you very much for viewing my video. God bless, strong love, and keep the peace, please, worldwide.